Today we're going over some regressions for you guys out there who are just confined to back squats, bench press, or whatever it is. I'm gonna give you guys a solution to some of your technical issues and problems, which is basically regress from those movements. And what does that mean? Basically means like finding another exercise that it gives you the exact same stimulus, the same engagement, but you're loading it differently. It gives you overall a better opportunity to get in better position to be able to do it properly. So keep your eyes peeled, keep your eyes glued to the screen, your ears open to the speakers. Hopefully it's in stereo so you can hear both sides, left and right. Going off topic here. Anyway, let's get started. Okay, so we're first starting off with back squat. Now everybody thinks it's the end all be all to growing legs. You have to back squat. You really don't. So we want to find movements or exercises that benefit us at our ability. So if you're not at all that good at doing back squats, you find that your back is rolling, you're hinging too much and whatnot, then we can regress in here. But when we do our squats, obviously back squat is here. Obviously getting our hands aligned up so when we get underneath here, we're ready. So underneath the weight, find a good position in our back and just standing up. Take a couple steps back, and then we start to squat. Now, if I start squatting and things are breaking down, and I'm doing this too much, and I just can't really get myself in position to keep my chest up, and your squat doesn't look like this, then we have to regress. Now, what's the next regression of this? Basically, regression moving down. I find front squat. Now, we can front squat. Now, a person like me who's had issues with mobility, we'd be doing more like something like this. So getting yourself underneath and then front squatting. Basically having your arms up like this. I'm not the biggest fan this way because, again, it's gonna have a roll back, but if you have to do that way, that's fine. But doing a front squat will force you to stay up a little more. So if we can do a proper front rack with mobility, now this is the first time I'm broadcasting this, so bear with me. You guys see how far I've been working with my mobility. Ew, hello. So, I'm so excited with this. So if we can actually back squat, front squat, then in this position here, we can keep ourselves actually upright. Our chest being up, and basically we're doing this. So when we're down, we can keep our body up. Now, I don't want you doing that. You're actually gonna do a front squat, hands in front. So when we're doing the front squat, we wanna have our hands, depending on mobility. If your mobility is lacking, you can take a wider position with your hands, right? If they're fine, then we can get ourselves underneath. Now, I always like to say a couple cues. Less hands, more fingers. We don't have to grip the bar like this when we're doing a front squat. If you have the mobility there, then great, go right ahead. But we want to keep a lot of stress off of our wrist. Again, we're letting this just balance here. This front squat position is literally just resting here. And then we're putting our hands back to keep the weight up. Our shoulders aren't holding it up. Our position here, and our back is holding this weight up. And that's going to give us a better overall neutral spine. So it forces you to stand up. So if you can't get underneath and back, and keeping the elbows up on the way up and up on the way down. There's your regression. Now, not everybody has the ability to do front squats or even the mobility. So what we do again, we regress one more time. What I want to avoid for most coaches that are out there, or even the athlete themselves, is not just lower the weight. Lowering the weight isn't gonna fix all problems. You're still gonna have issues bringing your center of mass back. And that's the issue we have in mobility or just even body structure. So we're gonna go from here, and then we're just gonna do a goblet squat, to front squat and goblet squat. A goblet squat is basically a front squat. You're just holding it in an easier position. If you don't have mobility, get yourself in that front rack position. Again, we're doing goblet squats, same idea. Same rules apply. Remember, back squat, goblet squat, front squat, hack squat, whatever squat. Your feet are gonna be how they naturally are, on a little outside shoulder width apart. Externally rotating the hips, just until your knees are aligned with your toes. Don't keep pushing them out. All we're doing is leave them where they're aligned with your toes. And then our hips and knees are gonna break at the same time going down. Now, the good thing about this is, this again is gonna force myself to stay in an upright position. My back is gonna be that much more neutral. So getting the weight up and sitting underneath, and up, what I want to do is have the weight here and let it push you to the floor, right? Don't try to lift it up like this. We want to let it push down. Now our back is in a nice neutral position. So when we squat, hips and knees break at the same time. We can keep that good position. Our back legs in straight, core is engaged. And what we're doing here also is we're actually strengthening our torso. A lot of issues we have when we're doing, back squats, loading our spine, is that our brace isn't strong enough. So it's the first thing that breaks. So starting off from doing like a goblet squat, then moving up to maybe front squat, and then going to a back squat, by that time, you are working your torso strength through your torso, basically through your core, your lats, everything's staying engaged here. So when you start actually moving and working, you're actually strengthening your neutral spine or that brace in an isometric hold. So basically what you're doing is you're strengthening your torso, your lats, your core, all those engaged. Strengthen your torso in that isometric hold or static hold while your hips and knees are moving, or you're isometrically moving or contracting through your quads, hamstring, glutes, creating hip and knee flexion, while at the same time strengthening your torso. So that once you get to the point where you're stronger here, we can go from here over to front squat, front rack. And then once we're strong enough from there, then we go to a back squat. And there you have it, guys. There's your regression from your barbell back squat. Barbell back squat, front squat to goblet squat. And if you really can't do that, we're gonna work on body weight. Yo, what's up, guys? A lot of you guys are watching this video but not subscribed, so make sure you guys subscribe to the channel and hit that notification button so next time I put a video, you'll be the first ones to get it. Also, hopefully by now you like the video, so hit the like button as well. Back to the show. So next regression, we have pushes. So for me, when it comes to difficulty, so I would say the top progression of this all for pressing would be dumbbells. Reason why? Because you got to control a lot more. You have to control it unilaterally. Both hands simultaneously have to be able to control the weight going down and up. And that is very difficult for people who haven't worked out before or just started a fitness journey. So before we get to the position where we're sitting back and here and are pressing, and this being difficult because again, we have to really control both movements at the same time. And for some people, that's gonna be pretty hard. So the regression for this would be our barbell press. Make it a little more simpler by holding a bar. Now, what the f? That's crazy. It's a ghost. So the regression from this would be barbell bench. Right, we're going from the dumbbell to barbell. Now, it's the same thing, we're talking about incline as well too. I would start off, the progression or the top of this would be, top of the food chain, or totem pole would be dumbbell, incline, or decline, or whatever. Dumbbell first. Then second, we're looking at a barbell. So from here, it's easier because again, we're hitting the same muscles, the same thing. We're just using or we're just using a different exercise to stimulate that. So from here, and we're pressing, and again, we're getting the same stimulus and engagement as if we had dumbbells. Only difference is, again, we're holding this bar. Now, you're thinking, what's next after this? Well, again, we can go from here and go into the Smith machine. So when it comes to the next regression after doing barbell, obviously keeping the exact same stimulus, exact same engagement, we're looking at a Smith machine. Again, we don't have to worry about controlling too much stability-wise. We still want to make sure we're engaged the entire time as if we were doing dumbbell or barbell. But this is going to keep us that much more safer, especially if you don't have a spot or whatever. We have this to be able to substitute or regress to. So from here, we have the same thing, pressing, and we're gonna get the same movement. The difference is we are confined to this piece of equipment. So you won't be able to push and extend and whatnot. You're only be able to push from here. The load is gonna stay directly on the muscle, and there's really not much room for error unless you yourself make the error. So from here, pressing, it's the same idea. Now again, it would be the same thing as if I inclined it, declined it, whatever. This is your next regression to a barbell, Smith machine. So after this, if you can't do this, now it's not necessarily that you can't do it, but my thing is if you can't do a push-up, you shouldn't be pressing anything, right? Because that push-up is gonna be the set of our plank. Basically, it's gonna help us get everything engaged so when we're on our backs, we can still engage the same muscles. It's make it a little harder, but again, when we're doing this, it's gonna slowly progress us into these movements. So push-ups, and you're like, wait a minute, most people can't do push-ups. So obviously the regression to this, from dumbbell to barbell to Smith machine, now we're going down to a push-up. So for those of you who can do push-ups, again, when we're doing these, we're just basically doing a modified plank from our hands. A modified plank, basically, a plank looks like this. There's your plank. Your push-up is lowering and pushing up. Remember, pressing from your fingers and the palms and keeping your core tight so your butt's not doing this and we're not doing this kind of stuff. I've seen this all the time. This looks really weird. So we're doing a push-up. Now, for most people who can do push-ups, now if you can't do 10 push-ups on your own, I don't feel like you should be doing any kind of pressing yet. Because if we can't keep our body stabilized in a plank position while doing a push-up, you're not gonna be able to do the same thing with a load on you. So how we can actually regress from here is give ourselves some assistance. Cool little trick I learned. Based on how strong you are, you're gonna get a band that's gonna give you some assistance. Now, if you can't do 10 push-ups, what we wanna do is, if you have a synth machine or somewhere at the, at the gym, you can put the bar or the rack, whatever, you can load it here. And basically from here to here, we have some tension that's gonna help us. So obviously when I get close to the ground, I'm gonna get some help going up. So what we're gonna do is, we're gonna set ourselves inside like this, make sure it's right across the top of our chest as if you're, as if you're doing like a measurement for like clothes or whatever, right across the chest. So when we're pressing, get directly underneath, and from here, on the way down, I have help, like literally. It's pretty cool actually. But again, from here, now I can perform a push-up. And how we progress from here? Well, we can progress through this regression by just basically, we're gonna lower the bar. And it's gonna make it that much harder. The lower the bar is, the less help we're gonna get from here. But I'm still gonna get some help. But there is your full regression from your pressing movements. Dumbbell to barbell to synth machine to push-up and then to assisted push-ups. Try using one of these. Okay, next we got some pull-ups or pulls, right? So I honestly believe that when you can do pull-ups, if you want to get a really, really wide back, pull-ups, your end all be all. If you can do pull-ups, literally pull your whole body up with your fingers, with good form, you're gonna put the most amount of stress and load onto your teres major minor. This part of your little part right there, I can actually touch that, it's dope. Look at that, mobility in your eye. Right here, this part of your back is where we get our width from when we're doing pull-ups. Not everybody can do a pull-up though, but we wanna get there because you wanna be that person who can do a bunch of pull-downs, but then can't do a couple damn pull-ups. This is the top of the progression, a pull-up. Being here, you don't have to have your arms way the heck out here, because if you do again, you're shortening the range of motion. We wanna have it like, a little shoulder width apart, outside shoulder apart, where you can hang, basically, and we're pulling ourselves up and controlling down. This is not an easy movement whatsoever. But we want to be able to get ourselves to this position or to this place eventually. So if we can't do that, what we're going to do is, if you do have, a assisted if you do have an assistant pull-up machine at your gym, which every gym has, and if they don't, I don't know what gym you're at. Even Planet Fitness has assisted pull-up. I think every one of their pieces of equipment are assisted, maybe. Either way, what we want to do is we want to use a band or assistances. Pull in here. Now, a few ways you can do this to make it that much easier or harder. Number one, we can put it around our knee, and I like to take the other leg and wrap it underneath so this thing doesn't kind of fly out, and then we can pull ourselves up. Or we can put it on our feet, which is gonna make the stretch or the resistance that much greater in your help coming up. We can put both feet in. And from here, that's super simple. Now, if you cannot do this yet, we're not gonna say you can't do it right now. We're gonna say you can't. If you're unable to do this movement right now, the last regression to this obviously is a pull down, because the pull down is literally the exact same thing as a pull up, only have some leverage from whatever seat you have, the little piece of pad that goes over your knees to hold you in place. You can use to help pull yourself down. You're basically using that as assistance to help leverage, pull the weight down. So what we can do is from here, it doesn't really matter what type of pull down. What matters is that it comes from vertical. Any type of pull from the top is going to emulate that of a pull up. So anything that's going to be pulling down, anything you do pulling down in a vertical is going to emphasize more of your teres major minor, this part of your lats. And all of your lats, but this is going to get the majority of the pull. So from here, I'm in the same position I would be as if I was doing a pull up, only my legs are basically, only my feet are on the ground, I'm seated, and I have leverage to pull the weight down. Same idea, but nothing changes in terms of what's being activated. And there's a regression to a pull-up. So if you want to progress from here, basically progress from your regression, is you want to basically max yourself out on how many you can pull down. So if you're doing 10 to 15 reps and you start off at X amount of weight and you got yourself to a place where you're almost doing your body weight, Then you can almost like do what I do here and take away the actual seat and do it without leverage on your knees or your thighs. And then from there, progress to doing pull-ups with the bands. And then from the bands, once you can do that on your own, we could do more than 15 reps. And maybe you start off with a band like this. And then maybe we progress to a less resistance band. Or say you have an assisted pull-up machine at your gym. You just start to decrease the weight that's helping you out until you can actually do the rep on your own. And these are regressions. All right, guys, and there you have it. Those are your regressions to your press and your pull and your squat. Try to use those. Again, you don't have to stick to certain movements. Exercise selection is finding the movement that benefits you at your ability. And then once you reach that point of progressing, then you can move on to the more difficult movements. But don't get yourself stuck thinking that you have to load your spine to do legs, or you have to do barbell press or dumbbell press to, grow your chest, or you have to do pull-ups to be able to get your lats bigger. There's also other things like machines that you can completely regress to, and those will help you out that much more in terms of your ability, starting off as a beginner, even intermediate, and then obviously advanced. Anyway, guys, hope you guys enjoyed the video, guys. If you did, make sure you guys like, subscribe, and share. You want to become what the tell it is, transparent, vulnerable truth. And for coaching, johnsheed.com. If you want to know more about coaching, 15 to 30 minute phone consult. After that consult, I deduct the consult off any package that you pick. Remember, guys, hit the description below for those discount codes and promo codes that help save your life or change your life for the better. And guys, add me on Instagram and TikTok. Some of your progress pics, your training pics, and your video clips, and I'll repost it for you because you know how it is. Iron sharpens iron, progressive overload your life. In the meantime, keep dream chasing. Peace.